Does Iron Banner Rift suck? We have had 3 separate polls, and it's been pretty much 50-50 every single time. We even did a separate poll on Twitter, over 5,000 votes, and that one is damn near 50-50. And by the way, Destiny, for the most part, whether it was Trials, Gambit, it was normally overwhelming. A solid yes or a solid no. Granted, that tends to scale differently depending on whatever updates roll out for it. Of course, Gambit started off extremely positive, like overwhelmingly positive, and then over time, that really sunk. Trials, though, started off extremely negative and has picked up a lot more since then. However, Rift, yo, this is gridlock. You got 50-50 on either side across 3 different polls. You got people saying they love Rift, hate Rift, can't stand Rift, want D1 Rift back. On the flip side, you also got people saying this is the best thing that's happened to PvP in years. This is one divided community on this thing. And somebody said it best earlier. Nobody hates Destiny more than Destiny players. Really, really though. Now, I do have some complaints about Rift that plagued me from the very beginning. One of them being the infinite spawn glitch, where literally if someone picks up the spark and then jumps off the map or even slams the rift in the final second, for some reason, this messes things up. And what happens is for the rest of the game, or until this thing actually unwinds, the rounds just consistently keep resetting over and over, and you literally do nothing. You simply just keep spawning in, and for some reason, the game mode keeps refreshing the round. Now, let me bring you through what Rift is now. It's essentially a spark in the middle. You pick it up, you bring it to the enemy team, and you slam it. That's the mechanic. Very similar to what it was back inside of Destiny 1, except inside of Destiny 1, it was an ongoing game. As soon as you actually slam the rift, it would then have a countdown, spawn back in the middle again, meaning the game continually keeps running. And you pretty much would just spawn right back in, just like you would in regular Crucible. However, Rift right now has rounds. Not only does it have rounds, when you die, it's a long respawn counter. And not only is it a long respawn counter, but it's actually a huge disadvantage if you spawn in yourself. You want your teammates to revive you, because if you don't and you have to revive yourself, you just get stuck in the back of the map from spawn. Now, this goes against every single fiber of a PvP player. For years now, whether it's Iron Banner or regular 6v6 PvP, everyone has held their W key down or their front end of their joystick, and they charge with not a care in the world. Sometimes they get a kill, sometimes they don't, but you instantly spawn back, and back into the chaos you go. But with Rift comes a playstyle PvP players hate, and that is called OBJ, objective. Ain't nobody got time for that. All of a sudden, we have to think. What are we doing? Where are we placing ourselves? Play conservatively. Play with a teammate. Bro, this is Destiny. I only care about my elo and my KD. Rift used to be a place, actually, where folks would actually farm for their KD. Back inside of Destiny 1, people wouldn't even play the objective. They would literally just get kills over and over, kill people in spawn, and just farm kills and elo. That is exactly why Rift is so objective heavy as of now. Bungie intentionally did this because it was the only way to get a PvP player to play the objective. Because despite many PvP players not wanting to play the objective, they will if it means they're gonna keep losing over and over again if they don't. Now, some issues with having such a heavy objective game mode is, of course, communication. This is when it's most necessary. Again, in regular Crucible, you can just mindlessly kill. Never speak to a teammate. Matter of fact, you can blame your teammates. Kind of hard to do that though if you have team chat on. Rift is definitely a game mode that rewards players for communicating together, like most objective game modes. Now, honestly, I think Rift would be way worse if Bungie didn't give us a freelance version of Iron Banner. We've had freelance for a while, but I can only imagine how bad it would be if it was just one playlist and you were going up against a 6-stack every single time. The advantage would be tipped in their favor by a huge margin. Now, like some of you, or maybe even most of you, my first couple hours of Rift, I was like, yo, man, this sucks. None of my builds are working. I'm killing dudes, but immediately they got a teammate behind them. I'm having to concentrate on getting reses. My blueberries are throwing. But 2 things occurred. Number 1, I found out that you could still do backflips when slamming the spark into the rift. And number 2, I found a build that worked wonderfully well for this game mode. And that is the exotic Precious Scars. I paired Precious Scars yesterday with Teraba, and I prioritized keeping my teammates alive, getting the res as often as I could, and simultaneously giving out overshields left and right and burst of healing. An exotic that nobody cared about just became one of the best exotics you can use in this objective game mode. And to me, that's amazing. That was the turning point for me. Suddenly, I felt like like I had some level of control over what was happening on the battlefield with my loadout. And with this loadout, I went on a massive win streak with a bunch of randoms inside of Freelance Iron Banner. What I like about Rift inside of Destiny 2 is that it pushes me to play with things that I never played with or really cared to play with. Support builds are more important now than ever. You want to rock out Boots of the Assembler Illumina? Yo, Iron Banner Rift is perfect for that. You want a barricade, a doorway with glacier grenades on Hunter and shatter dive when someone tries to run through? Go right ahead. Already, my brain is starting to kick into overdrive, figuring out different ways to play this game mode and optimize it. Without a doubt, the bugs that have been plaguing Rift is off and needs to be fixed like now. Being in a constant loop of respawning over and over is terrible. The other thing is the auto respawn being 10 seconds is pretty long. However, I also wish it didn't auto respawn. The reason for that is that there are times even after the 10-second window where I'm watching a teammate of mine win a gunfight, he could push up and get the rest from me and we can make the final push in with our spark. But the game auto respawns me after 10 seconds, putting me in the back of the map. I would prefer like a 7-second, maybe 6-second respawn timer, but with the ability to not auto respawn and instead place my faith in my fellow Blueberry in hopes that he wins that gunfight and gets me the rest. The more and more I start playing Rift, guys, the more I'm enjoying it because it does introduce something that we have been lacking inside of Destiny for a very long time, and that is objective game modes. Control doesn't count. Why? You saw so many people that didn't even cap points. An Iron Banner version of Control was even worse. Now, I will say that one thing that is going to be extremely important going forward with Bungie and Rift is their matchmaking. They're going to have to do a good job matching the appropriate teams against each other. Currently, right now, there is too many blowout games, and I was having lots of blowout games yesterday on either side, and nobody really likes a blowout game. Granted, there's a lot of people that actually played Rift yesterday who had no idea how to play this game mode, and it took them completely by surprise. But I will say, for the regular PvP player that likes to just load up and mindlessly kill, you're not gonna like Rift. This is not the game mode for that. It is a game mode in which you prioritize the objective and nothing else. Surprisingly though, I can see myself enjoying watching Rift games. Like, I'm not saying it should be the new competitive mode, but watching Rift games take place between two very skilled teams and seeing what they use to push forward and support each other and to ultimately win rounds. Guys, Rift's got it. At the same time though, for the casual Crucible player that just wants to kill, I completely understand why you don't like this game mode. Now, currently right now, Bungie has stated we're going to be getting Iron Banner twice this season. So you're going to be seeing this mode return yet again. But Bungie's also stated that Rift would become a permanent play mode inside of Destiny. Or I think it like cycles out with game modes like what, Momentum Transfer and Mayhem. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Now, some of the comments I've read is that they like Rift, but they just don't like Rift as an Iron Banner mode, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. This is not power and enable. It's power and disable. It's pretty much like regular Crucible. And I think the only thing I could take away from it is that people got used to the fast-paced Iron Banner games that we had before and just getting in and getting out. Now, as someone who has played pretty much everything in Destiny at launch, who has made comments like, yo, this is half-baked. To me, Trials, when it came back, was half-baked. A lot of my complaints with Trials, though, was actually with the anti-cheat. Rift is not a half-baked mode. It is a very well-thought-out mode. Very much different from the Destiny 1 version. The team that worked on this successfully navigated the issues that we faced back in Destiny 1, where no one would actually play the objective. Everybody looks back on Destiny 1 Rift with these rose-tinted glasses like it was the most amazing thing in the world. No, we didn't even play it because nobody even played the objective. So remove that from your brain. Go play Destiny 1 Rift right now. Tell me how good of a time you're having. I promise you, you're not. Overall, it's a nice change of pace. And with this evolved version of Rift, I could tell there's been a lot of thought put into it, outside, of course, the bugs. And I think if you give it a chance, guys, learn some support builds, lean into that, and play as a team player, and maybe, just maybe, crack open that mic or that text chat to communicate with your teammates, you may find yourself very much enjoying Rift. So guys, that is my thoughts, my current review of Rift. You could do backflips. Builds and exotics that no one cared about in regular Crucible are now finally potent and have their time to shine. Overall, I like it even more than the Destiny 1 version. And before you jump up and say I'm simping for Rift, look man, I obviously recognize the problems that the game mode has. But if you like me, you may have more problems with some of the most recent sandbox changes, that being in-air accuracy and of course flinch resist, of which we're going to talk about in more depth later this week. Do not associate that with this game mode. Now I will say this, if Bungie's going to make Rift a regular thing, we need more maps. I like it on the new map. And even Convergence and Betterfall was okay, but there is just not a lot of maps here for Rift. We need more maps just in general, but especially if we're going to have game modes like Rift. Perfect opportunity, Bungie, to bring back our Destiny 1 maps. And by the way, if you want a refresher on what those maps are, we did a video going over all of them. Either way it goes, guys, give Rift a go this week. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm still having fun. But with all things in this community, the pendulum can swing either way very quickly. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.